Hello, everyone. I am, of course, super excited to be here. That's very strange for a Swede to say, because when something is super exciting, we say it's good, just good. But I am super excited. Anyway, so I work for AVEVA. We are a leading supplier of engineering, design, and information management software solutions. So we're actually trying to power the digital asset. The digital asset is what we call sort of the digital twin. It's the digital version of an asset that you might see. It could be a power plant, it could be a tension leg platform, it could be a ship. And we work in several different verticals, and like oil and gas, marine, pulp and paper, and so on. So we are quite significant in this area, and what we do is we support these customers with engineering and design applications that are quite significant in terms of the graphical demands on it. So we've got actually the top 10 energy companies in the world using our software to design their power plants, and we've got about 9 out of 10 of the global shipyards, the biggest ones. And I'm not going to tell you which one we don't have yet. So I'm going to use this word more and more, or over the whole presentation, the digital asset. And so this is just to make it very clear that for us, the application sort of comes second. So at the heart and the first and the most important thing for us is the project data. It's what you create, what you consume. So around this, we obviously have a whole raft of different applications. Some of them are 1D, some of them are 2D, and some of them are 3D, some of them are highly graphical, and some of them are more like Excel-type applications, if you like. But what we did was that we decided to go for the most difficult one. May not be a smartest choice to do, but I think in our case it was pretty smart, because it meant that we started on this journey quite some time ago. So this is AVEVA Everything 3D. It's a multidiscipline design application which manages design of piping, structural, cabling, HVAC, and anything that you might want to design when you create like an oil rig or the outfitting of a ship or something like that. So we started the journey in 2014, and it was really because we said, we've got this huge problem that we're a company who's been working with this market for 35 years. And we've always been very graphics intense. And we obviously started thinking about the cloud, saying, how can we move there? We can obviously move there fairly easily with our information management solutions, but the graphics ones are definitely a problem. So anyway, we got in contact with Amazon, and we saw this blog, Jeff Barr. Well, we actually talked to Amazon before that, but I just picked that because this really told us what we could potentially do. So what we did was that we did exactly what we had to do in those days with AppStream as it was. So we built an enablement service based on using Elastic Beanstalk. We built this Windows client using the provided SDK, and we created this AppStream image where we did some silent installs, and to start with, we actually put some static project data on it. And yes, the streaming experience was absolutely fabulous. It was great. And we were astonished because we didn't actually think it was possible to get such a good 3D experience when running this on premises in a data center that maybe was in North Virginia whilst we were in Europe. So to take this a bit further, we decided to do a proof of concept with 3 of our major corporate customers. And this time, we needed to do this with their own data. So we couldn't actually put their own static data onto the instances, because obviously this is an environment where you can be, like 10, 50, or 500 people working on the same project. So we needed to sort of solve that problem, at least in this POC. If we didn't do it, then it would be sort of a cool thing to look at, but not something that could be used in real life. So they said to us when they looked at it, you know what, the streaming experience looks absolutely great, but there was, in the documentation, in the AppStream documentation, we found this line. Well, we knew about it, but we weren't actually, a bit naive probably, but we didn't fully realize how important this was. Because what happened was that when we started up the POCs with these 3 customers, we basically spent days with their IT departments, because they looked at the traffic and they said, come on guys, this is unencrypted traffic, you're kidding us. And they said, well, we've looked at the port 80 traffic, that's not even real web traffic. And all of these UDP ports, and no proxy support, and so they basically said, no way, can't do it. So we had some concerns of our own. So we had this enablement service, and we needed to put that customer data somewhere. And obviously, we needed to secure it, and we needed to do it in a way that we could do this in isolation per customer, of course. And then the AppStream instances, as they were fired up, they were running in a VPC that we couldn't control. And not only couldn't we control that, but we didn't know what IP addresses they had. And so basically, we just could not secure the access to the project data. Supreet mentioned also the cost, and definitely that was also a potential problem. But the major concern was really the fact that we couldn't secure the access from the AppStream instance to the customer data. Now, you might think they were a bit crazy, because independent of all of those problems, we went ahead and we made sort of one of the things that Supreet was talking about just before. So we created a self-training site. Now, we knew from the very start that this would not fly seamlessly within corporate environments. Although we've seen that in most cases, if they have a guest network, it actually works from there, because they are more open. So this was launched as more like a personal training site for people, where it's free to sign on. It's full with training material, and we started off by having training material, moving people from an earlier version of our software into the newest version. And we also provided them with a fixed number of hours of running our application on AppStream. And I'm not sure about the numbers right now, but I think it's a couple of thousands of people who have been using it. Which, in our case, we are quite niched. To us, that's a lot of people. But we really wanted to do this, as a production business case. So that's also the reason that we sort of stayed on, because we were in close contact with AWS. We spoke to Supreet. We told him about a number of things that we really wanted. And what we wanted to do was to support what we call a subcontractor scenario. So this is really our first toe dip in the water, if you like. So the scenario is the following. So we've got this major contractor, and he's about to create a capital project. So let's say it's a tension leg platform to be in the Mexican Gulf. And he's working with a lot of subcontractors, and they do that today. Of course, they've got networks of subcontractors. But what we wanted to do was to make it possible for these subcontractors to connect into the project that the main contractor has, but do that to the cloud. And we have today already some software which we call AVEVA Global, which is, let's say, a synchronization software where we can actually take parts of a project and we can move that to another place in the world, and you can start synchronizing between the two. So we decided to use that, to leverage on that, change it quite a bit actually, but have sort of the same mindset because our customers are very used to using AVEVA Global. But instead then creating this project satellite into the cloud, together with configurations and settings and so on. And then make it possible for the main contractor inside our platform, AVEVA Connect, to make it possible to invite subcontractor users into that platform, and then for them being able to start do some real work, real design work on this project. And we say then now that the first subcontractor user access should be within hours. Now, that may not seem fantastic. Basically, you should say, well, why not within minutes? Well, first of all, the time that is needed there is really for the ACME project administrator to decide exactly what he wants to put in the cloud. And then there's a little bit of upload time. But if we had gone below within hours and said within minutes, they would probably not believe us. Because today this process is normally on premises, fully on premises, can be something between 3 weeks and 3 months for them to do that. And this is all about, all of the IT requirements, the rubber stamping, the setting up of the VPNs, and IT department talking to each other and saying, I'm not going to let you into my corporate network, and vice versa. So doing this within hours and without any IT involved is really what we targeted. So in order to be able to do that, we obviously had a number of requirements that we spoke to AWS about. So on the client side, we said, please, 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 no IT overhead, because we talk to engineers. We don't talk to the IT departments. Well, we do if we have to. But the engineers, they just want to make ships or oil rigs or things like that, not to engage with the IT department, if they can avoid it. And in order to fully satisfy the IT department, so they realized we don't have to get involved here, is of course that the whole traffic is secured, that it goes to known gateways, and that there is no client install. But we did not want to give up on the high-quality streaming. So it still needs to be highly dynamic. Smaller things like the cursor feedback. So if the cursor is changing on the remote thing, it should be changing on the local thing, and so on. Clipboard, obviously, and restorable state. So if I've been into my application and I've moved all my windows in different places and done all my settings, when I come back, I don't want that to be all forgotten. I have to start over again. And then if we look at the server and the management side, sort of our side is number one, we have to have secure access to the data. So we need it to be launched inside a VPC of our choosing. And also to be able to launch it inside a private subnet of that. And then we although it's cool to work with a console, this is what you do when you get started, when you play around a bit. But in the end, we need programmatic access to that because we need to automate all of those things. Yeah. So what we've done is that we've built our own portal. A very simple schematic picture of this. We call it AVEVA Connect. And this is not only a portal, it's also a platform. It's a platform where we are delivering our services. And I'm starting with the other ones, and you can imagine that the next one is going to come, which is the one that is delivering through AppStream. This is a platform that's built on the serverless architecture. And the other thing to deliver here, I have deliberately not called it neither AppStream nor AVEVA E3D. I'm calling it a solution environment. And I'll show you just in a second why I do that. So, as I said in the beginning, the application sort of comes second for us. So it's the project, the digital asset that comes as number one. So a solution environment for us is, number one, what is the data source? So what is the project? Number two is, how is that configured? Because accessing a project you can do through many different configurations, depending on whether you're a piper, you're a structural engineer, electrical engineer, And so all of these configurations come into play depending on what skill set and what function you have. We actually support some customization. And again, that customization is also depending on, again, what function you have. Basically, what's your reason for being into my project, into the digital asset. And finally, the application. So although I was saying in the beginning that we're doing this now with AVEVA, Everything 3D, our major flagship, we're building this platform to be sort of not application agnostic, but surely be able to support many different applications. And also to be able to do that. I didn't say that in the beginning, but the portal, the whole point with the portal is obviously that it's self-service for our customers. And so any configuration, any deployment, anything that they need to do is just-in-time deployment and based on the actions of the customer's administrator. So with this solution environment, so now we've got the user. So the user, he logs into AVEVA Connect, and he gets in his face a dashboard. And that dashboard is dependent on the permissions that he's got. And again, it's not the permission to an application. For us, it's the permission to a project with a particular application, with a particular setup and configuration and customization. And this changes rapidly and all the time in a highly agile, if you like, environment like an engineering project, where you onboard and offload subcontractors very often. So anyway, depending on what you have in your face, you click on one of those. There is a launch command, basically. This launch command picks up all of these parameters and all of those pieces and passes them across to AppStream, if you like, where they are consumed, and make sure that we have the right credentials and we can access the right data source. And in the end, we get back the streaming URL that is passed into the browser of the end user. So I just want to make this, to us, this is a very, very important statement as well. We need these session startup parameters, because we're not there just to give someone an application. We're giving them access to a digital asset, to a major capital project in design under a number of different circumstances. And we need to specify those. So for the end user, this is not really just starting A3D. For him, it is, I am now going to do some significant piping in this area of this project. We're also keeping all our customers that we onboard, we keep their data secured in customer-specific VPCs. So any customer having an account with us gets his own VPC. And in that VPC, we also, in the public side, we have this link that we talked about, the AVEVA Global, where we synchronize parts of a project from on-premises up to the cloud. And then in the private subnet, we keep the data, and this is also where we then launch the AppStream instance. Yes. So now I'll see if I can do just a little quick demo. As you will see soon, I am not an engineer of that sort, neither a Strucky nor a piper. I'm really a software person. So this is the AVEVA Connect portal. So the outside of it, how it looks for a customer. I'll be logging in now as an end user, which means that in my face, I will get a dashboard showing me what I'm allowed to do. Now, those of you who are looking closely, you'll see that I'm running in a dev environment. So this is obviously something that we are currently building. And as you know, AppStream 2.0 is really, really new. We have had the pleasure of working together with Supreet and his team. So we've been, trying out some betas, looking at the APIs. We have a little head start, still have a few things to do. So I apologize for not showing you a very nice dashboard here. Though the marketing department will probably kill me when they see the movie after this. But I really just wanted to show you and prove a point. So I am now let's say I'm a piper. This is one of the projects that I've got access to, so I click on this link. And what is happening now is obviously that the whole package that needs to come across to the AppStream instance was created when I clicked on that. It was passed through a set of Lambda functions that is then passed to what we now are building, which we call a fleet manager. So when we create this platform, it will basically be something that our developers can use out of the box, not having to know too much about AppStream itself, and we will be managing that on a platform level. So we've started the application. I'll go full screen. And I will just pull in some data. And again, as I said, I'm not really a person who knows how to create ships or tension leg platforms or process plants and whatever. So so excuse me for if there is someone who really understands to do these designs, I apologize in advance. Anyway, the thing that I really want to show you is that this is just a very small piece of a construction. But the cool thing, the one that I just love, is the fact when I'm running this now, so I'm running this out of a region here in the States, the graphics performance that I get. So I'm running this right now on a Windows 10 tablet. I've got the application installed locally as well. You know, I travel a lot and I have to show people what we're doing. But I can assure you that the performance that I get running this in the cloud is much, much better than what I get out of my own tablet, which I think is pretty amazing. And so the interaction is great. I will do something which is probably quite stupid, again, because I don't really know. But you see, just to show you that it's fully live, it's very responsive. One question that we ask ourselves, and that we also ask customers that we will very soon be engaging with in proof of concepts and beyond that, is this a tool where you could have a designer work 8 to 10 hours a day? Because if that answer isn't yes, then we're in trouble and we have to improve. Now, although I said I'm not a designer, for me, looking at this tool, working with it and feeling how it works, there is no doubt that this is definitely a tool that I would be able to work with 8 hours a day. Thank you.